Hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. Another episode, another week, and what a week it's been. Game of Thrones Season 7, and we're into it with episode number 2. Where do we begin? So much happened this episode. I don't even know where to begin. Why don't we just start at the beginning of the show? So, last episode, episode 1 of Season 7, ended where Daenerys arrives back home, and it's a beautiful sunny day, and she's getting re-familiar with her surroundings. Now we start at episode 2, and it's raining. It's a very miserable day, and she's having her war council meeting. She's having her small council meeting with her trusted advisors, Varys and Tyrion Lannister, and they're trying to come up with a strategy. Problem is that Daenerys, she has her vision. She knows what she wants to do, but she needs those allies. So she has the allies from the people of Dorne, as well as the allies, which is the Tyrells. And everybody's pulling in their own direction. The people of Dorne are motivated by revenge, as well as the Tyrells. But the old woman from Tyrells, she's very patient. She has a way of understanding and comprehending things. So it's pretty much kind of a bit of a frustration because they're so insistent, they're urgent on getting their revenge. But, you know, this is Game of Thrones, and you have to know how to play the game. Otherwise, you're going to get swallowed, you're going to get hurt, you're going to get devastated, houses are going to get destroyed. So they come up with a really good plan, you know, where they're going to split up their army. They have Daenerys' army, which is the Unsullied and the Dothraki, and they're going to move them over and attack, you know, the Lannisters' home base, which is the source of all their power, their gold mines, their money. Lannister always pays their debts. But as far as attacking King's Landing, they cannot use foreign invaders because that will hurt Daenerys' support. So they have to use domestic troops, local troops, armies that belong to the Seven Kingdoms. So they have their plan. They decide to move on. And the next scene is Cersei Lannister, and she senses a pending doom, an attack coming towards King's Landing. Daenerys coming after Cersei's kingdom. So it's going to be the battle of the queens, queen versus queen. And Cersei is trying to unite her kingdoms. Right now, her kingdoms are divided. She's made some mistakes. She's made some bad decisions, like giving way too much power to the sparrows. And it's just, you know, she's pretty much the ruler of a divided kingdom. So diplomacy isn't her strength. That's pretty much Tyrion's strength, but she hates Tyrion. She can't stand Tyrion, and they're trying to figure out, Cersei and Jaime are trying to figure out how to unite the kingdom, how to defend the kingdom from Daenerys. And it's funny how you watch it and you see Cersei trying to maintain her power, Jaime trying to support her, but Jaime, come on, bro. Cersei destroyed the scepter. She destroyed the church, the religion. She destroyed one of the pillars. All of season 6, they kept talking about how the crown and the faith are the twin pillars. And Cersei destroyed one of the pillars. Pretty much the kingdom is collapsing. Westeros is collapsing. And Daenerys is the right choice, the people's choice. Look what she did at Meereen, what she did at the slave cities or the slave regions in the world of Game of Thrones, how she took away slavery, she gave everybody their equal rights, and pretty much she's trying to do the same thing at Westeros. Westeros has become this place that is so divided. Everybody's trying to backstab each other. Everyone's trying to hurt each other. And for what? What is this battle when there's a major threat approaching? Pretty much, I feel that the Night King, once he makes his way south from the wall and heads into King's Landing, all the kingdoms that he's going to pass by, it's going to be an easy victory for him because everybody in Westeros is divided. The 7 kingdoms are divided. and Jon Snow is trying to unite everybody. He's trying to keep everyone together, rally up against the common cause. But nobody else sees it. Nobody else understands it. This episode 2 of Game of Thrones, this season, number 7, Jon Snow said it best. Nobody understands until they see it with their own eyes, the White Walkers. And very few have seen it. As far as the Knights Guard, not the Knights Guards, but the people that guard the wall, who have set out beyond the wall to keep the peace, have seen the threat. Very few have survived. Jon Snow has survived. Sam has survived. But, oh my gosh, I'm every episode, it's the Game of Thrones that I'm used to. This season, I'm addicted, and I can't wait for the next episode to see what's going to happen. So we have the beginning, which was Daenerys Targaryen trying to reclaim her throne. Then we had Cersei trying to come up with alliances, extremes to protect her power. She's not trying to protect the people. She's trying to protect her position and maintain her power. She's obsessed with the Game of Thrones. And when we were watching season 6, and we felt that it was going to be an easy victory for Daenerys. She was just going to come in and rule the kingdom because she has the dragons. She has the army, Unsullied, who fear nothing and all they know is combat. The Dothraki, who love to fight. They love combat. But now we're starting to see that the battlefield is starting to become even. Daenerys is very limited as to how much of her foreign army she can use to take over Westeros. If she succeeds and conquers Westeros with a foreign army, she will never have the loyalty of the people. She has her dragons, but they're animals. They're not domesticated. Their fire could spread and destroy the kingdom and turn everything into ashes. And Daenerys could become queen of the ashes. But then we saw something from Maester Qyburn develop a weapon and present it to Cersei, something that could stop a dragon. So pretty much now this big queen battle has become a level playing field that could shift in anybody's favor. Transitioning now, we have the situation in the north where it's more or less Jon and Sansa trying to figure out what can they do in the north. They have that impending doom coming, which is the White Walkers, but then there's this civil war throughout the kingdom that pretty much they have to find a way to unite everybody and stop everybody within the kingdom, within the civil war, killing each other because they're not doing themselves any favors. They're just doing the king, the Night King, a favor, making it more meat for his army. So Jon Snow receives a raven that it's from Daenerys. Daenerys wants to meet him, and he wants to meet her because where Daenerys is located, she has the weapons that can destroy White Walkers, which is the dragon glass as well as dragon fire. So he wants to go, but everybody in the north is very skeptic of Daenerys because she is a Targaryen, and they were reminded of what happened in history during the Mad King's rule, how he murdered or burned alive Jon Snow's grandfather. So Jon Snow decides to go, and then he brings Sir Davos, which is a very smart move. Sir Davos he knows how to speak to people and how to get people to rally behind a cause. No wonder he was the hand to the king to Stannis Baratheon. So we have that. And then we have now a Stark in Winterfell. So since Jon Snow is going to make his way to see Daenerys, he's going to leave Sansa in charge because she has that Stark name. But everybody in the north is kind of, they were, wait, Jon, don't go. Jon, stay. But Jon has to do the right thing. He has to see how he can keep people alive. But they don't want Jon to go. They're worried about what could happen to him. And it's funny how, Sansa's like, wait, but I'm a Stark. I know what to do. I can hold the fort while Jon is away. I'm Sansa. And then you have Littlefinger scheming. Who knows what that guy's up to? he said like a really good phrase in season 6, which is always keep everybody lost. When nobody knows what you want, they don't know what you're after. They don't know how to defend themselves against you when you have your plans, when you're scheming and you keep everyone lost and confused and you do something that's completely unexpected and random. Then we have one of my favorite characters, Jorah Mormont, back. And then you have Sammy, who's treating Jorah's grayscale. And nobody wants to listen to Sammy. Sammy's always in the books. Sammy's on top of it. He knows what's going on. He knows his things. But nobody wants to listen to him. This is pretty much, like I was saying last episode, how Game of Thrones is making the transition from a political medieval show now to a horror medieval show, where, you know, in horror movies you always have that one guy that knows what's going on but nobody listens. Sammy knows what's going on. He knows how to treat grayscale, but nobody wants to listen to him. They're everything that he says, it's always against him. That he doesn't know what he's talking about, that the maester that developed the treatment for grayscale, it didn't work, that he developed grayscale. The guy that developed a cure for grayscale, treatment for grayscale, once he contracts grayscale, they don't follow his treatment and they abandon him in the island of Valyria, and they leave him alone. That's very ironic and that's very funny. So Sammy's working on treating Jorah Mormont because Mormont's dad was a first commander of the Night's Watch, or I think it's the first ranger. And, you know, he always looked after Jon Snow. Jon Snow always looked after Sammy. Everybody looked up to Mormont, Jorah Mormont's father, when they were on the wall. And for Jorah Mormont to have this infection and Sammy trying to see what he can do as a way to owe that favor or to pay it back to Jorah Mormont's father, it's pretty much everything is coming full circle. As far as the battle that's coming, we all know that Jorah Mormont has a big part to play in it, and Westeros needs every help it can, every resource it can, and Sammy's doing this kind of behind the walls in secrecy. He gives something to Jorah to bite on so he doesn't make a lot of noise. He tells him, please be quiet. Nobody knows about this treatment and what I'm about to do. And they're working on it, but oh my gosh, Jorah is in so much pain because they're cutting out his skin. They're cutting out his flesh, his infected flesh, and they're trying to help him out. Then we have the return of Hot Pie, a fan favorite character, Hot Pie, and his baking, the way that he cooks, the way that he makes his desserts, his pastries, and how everybody can't get enough of it. I mean, I've seen, I think it was in around season 3, where the restaurant was very few customers, and then when they took on Hot Pie, when Hot Pie decided to stay as a cook, how the business at that restaurant has grown, and how they have customers, they have regulars, and everybody loves the food now. They can't get enough of it. And that was really exciting for me to see Hot Pie and the return of Hot Pie. He's one of those characters on Game of Thrones that is always fun to watch, and the things that he says and what he does. And it's pretty much taking those little pleasures, because they have, in Westeros, they have that civil war. The White Walkers are coming. There's a lot of sadness, violence, but then you have that little gleam of joy, Hot Pie's baked goods. And then from there you have Arya, where she's focused, she has her mission, she knows that she has to go south to King's Landing, she wants to eradicate those names off her list, she wants to complete her mission, and there's things that come across her that are holding her back, that are leaving her conflicted. She doesn't know which way to go. She doesn't know if she wants to go north, back home, or if she wants to go south and finish her mission. And she's conflicted. And you had Hot Pie telling Arya, hey, aren't you going to go back north? And Arya, there's nothing for me there. And Hot Pie says, no, it's been all over the news. Jon Snow has defeated Ramsay Bolton. The Starks control Winterfell now. And Arya wants to go back. And she goes, and then she meets her dire wolf, Nymeria. Nymeria is no longer domesticated. She's been out in the wild for so long. She's become the alpha pack wolf, leader of the pack. And Arya's trying to convince Nymeria to come with her to Winterfell. But Nymeria doesn't want to go. So now you have that conflict. Where does Arya belong? What's her place? She's been away from Winterfell for too long. She's not the same person anymore. So it's going to be interesting to see the next episode. What is Arya going to do? Which way is she going to go? Is she going to come back and reclaim her Starkism and become a Stark again? Or is she no one? Is she going to continue to be an assassin? And that's very interesting to know. And I'm looking forward to seeing what decision Arya takes, as well as what role Nymeria is going to play in the war to come, because she's building up her wolf pack. And as we've seen throughout the show, every Stark's direwolf has come in and done incredible things in battle to protect their Starks. From Robb Stark's direwolf that protected him in battle, how they fought in unison and they created these rumors throughout Westeros, how Robb Stark is the wolf. And then you had Bran Stark's direwolf that protected him when the Night King and his horde, his legions of White Walkers, invaded the Three-Eyed Raven's fortress. And then, unfortunately, you had Rickon Stark's direwolf, who was brutally murdered by the Umbers. And we have that really badass battle, Hardhome. I think it was season 4 of Game of Thrones. It was the one where the wildlings invade the wall, and they were out of men, they were short on men, they didn't know what to do. Sammy was trying to fight, and then Jon Snow gave him the key to his direwolf's cage and said, "No, Sammy, we need the wolf more than you." And they unleashed Jon Snow's wolf, and the wolf owned. He shifted the battle in the favor of the Knights of the Wall. So I'm looking forward to see, what is Nymeria going to do? What role is she going to play? And then now we reach the entree, the main event of the episode, which was the battle at the sea. You had the Battle of the Greyjoys at sea and the Sand People that were going to invade King's Landing. They were heading through the sea, and Greyjoy's army, Euron Greyjoy's fleet arrived, and they decimated Theon and his sister's fleet, and it was an all-out battle. It was a slaughter. Theon and his sister tried the best they could. The Sand Snakes tried the best they do, but they were just overwhelmed by a more experienced and battle-tested army within Euron Greyjoy's army, and just decimated it. They took the Sand Snake as hostage, the mom, and they took Euron Greyjoy took his niece as well as hostage. Then there was that situation with Theon, but Theon didn't know what to do. Theon is half human, he's half Reek. He's been traumatized, he's been affected by Ramsay Bolton. He was conflicted, didn't know what to do. Nobody else could see the way out except for Theon. Theon saw a way out. He just abandoned ship. And I'm sure he's going to play another role. I'm looking forward to see what is he going to do next. He abandoned ship, but he did not swim away. He floated back up, and he was watching the battle and how it was completely over. The ships were destroyed, and he didn't leave. He stayed there. It's kind of like Theon is coming back. He's becoming a Greyjoy, but at the same time, he has to remember the odds, that the odds were not in his favor, and he was in a no-win situation, and there was no point in him losing his life when he could live to fight another day, and he could change the situation. He could take a really bad situation and turn it around. For example, in season 5, I think it was season 5, when Sansa Stark was Ramsay's prisoner, and she was the one thing that helped the Boltons control the North. And Theon, the guy everyone least expected to do something, did something, and he turned the battle. He turned the face of the battle. He rescued Sansa from Winterfell when it was under Bolton control, and that loosened the grip that the Boltons had on Winterfell and on the North, and it kind of helped Jon Snow in his battle of the bastards, because it was a real Stark who had a real position in the North versus an invader that was trying to take over by force the North, something that they didn't belong, a usurper, if you will. My gosh, episode 2 left me thirsty. It was the right combination of story and action, and it left me thirsty for more, and I'm looking forward to episode 3. Can't wait to see what happens next. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this podcast, and till next time.